This is March 21st for BAA hearing. The time right now is 8:55 a.m. and this is room 1. This is Peter Rupert and I will be doing hearings in room 1, and then Laura O'Brien will be taking over around 11 o'clock if we get there. Thanks. Okay, this is Peter Rupert. I am in room 1. This is Saturday, March 21st, 8:57 a.m. I will be doing BAA hearings in room 1 this morning. All right. All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 757, and the start time is 9:07 a.m. Okay, just to go through the information. This is property address 750 Harbor Road. The owner is Seashell Real Estate, LLC. The town valued this property at $10,801,050, and they are asking that to be reduced to $6 million.
We're going to revise that to $6,100,000.
Okay, $6,100,000. Okay.
And I'm Robert Russo, and I have an affidavit from Laura Falcon, the sole member of Seashell Real Estate LLC that owns 750 Harbor Road. Authorized me to be here. I also have an appraisal from Paul Isolda showing a value of $6.1 million. The challenge with all Harbor Road properties is 385 Harbor Road sold for $15 million, and it's skewed everybody way up. 385 Harbor Road is a unique property in that it's on the top of the hill. It's on a level lot that then slopes down to the water. It gives you at least 200-degree view of everything from the harbor bridge out to the ocean, the golf course. It is very unique. No other property on Harbor Road is 385 Harbor Road, and that's 750 Harbor Road. This is the third time I've appealed 750 Harbor Road over the years. It is always high. It looks quite impressive from the front, but it is an old rambling home. And I think that Paul did a really good job of justifying his comps and showing why it needs to, come down to 6.1.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is Peter Roop for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 758, and the start time is 9:11 a.m. Okay. This is for 1131 Sasco Hill Road. The owner is Rafsnas, R-A-F-S-N-A-S, LLC. The town's valued this property at $23,550,244, and the asked amount to be reduced to is $18 million.
And I have an affidavit from Louise Samuelson, the sole member of Rafsnas, LLC, which is the owner of 1131 Sasco Hill Road. And I have an appraisal from Paul Isolda showing our claimed value of $18 million. It's worth pointing out that my clients have had this home on the market for $25 million for quite some time now. It's not that they think it's worth $25 million. That is the price at which they would give up their beloved home, is the bottom line. They do not need to move, but the kids are getting older and they realize the market is high. So for a premium, they would move out of their beautiful home. I think the appraisal does a very good job of justifying $18 million. I think it's very hard to justify much higher than $18 million, only because there's no comparable sales. Traditionally with properties, what we do is we find properties that are worth more, and we find properties that are worth less, and we adjust to find the middle. Here, this is such a unique home. There's nothing that's worth more. So it's very hard to predict a higher price in that instance. So, but I feel like Paul did a good job with his comps.
Okay. All right, stop this. All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 759, and the start time is 9:14 a.m. This is for 944 Pequot Avenue. The owners of this property are Luke Adavasio and Marie Pomeroy. The town's valued this property at $4,069,255, and they're asking that to be reduced to $3,750,000.
And I have an affidavit from Luke Adavasio, the owner of 944 Pequot Avenue, authorizing me to be here. The reason we're looking for such a small adjustment is because the clients just bought it in December for $3.75 million.
Would you say 3.75?
3.75, the exact amount we're asking for.
All right.
Yeah, they just bought it at that amount, so.
And when was that? Just
December.
December
25.
All right.
It had been on the market for some time. They believe that is a viable price for it in that instance. I'm going to give you 3 field cards.
Okay.
The first is 989 Pequot. 989 Pequot is obviously not far down. Oh, it's worth pointing out that 944 Pequot is on the road side of the street, so it has no water view or anything like that. It's a very pretty house. 989 Pequot sold in March of 2025 for $2.75. It's 3,800 square feet, and the lot is about half the size of our clients, and I think that's why it sold for $1 million less than what we're claiming. It is a newer home. They give you 753 Sasko Hill, which sold in May of 2025 for $2.65 million. It's a larger home, a younger home on a larger lot. And finally, I'm going to give you 1226 Pequot Avenue, which sold in August 2025 for $3.5. Now, it's only 3,200 square feet, so it is, it is 1,700 square feet smaller than my client's house. But the lot is actually 2.35 acres as opposed to 0.88 acres.
Okay.
We think these all point to a value of 3.75.
Okay. You had said it had been on the market for how long?
It had been on the market for a year.
For 1 year. Okay. So okay. Anything else?
That's it.
No? Okay. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 766, and the start time is 9:19. This is for 53 Belmont Street. 653 Post Road Corporation is the owner. The town's valued this property at $229,500, and they're asking that to be reduced to $200,000.
This is, excuse me, authorization. I should have gotten something out here. All right, here is an affidavit from Len Moscow, the sole shareholder of 653 Post Road Corporation that owns 53 Belmont Street. You know this lot as, if you pull into the Duchess, the extra parking over on the right. It's that lot that kind of, you used to be able to exit through it to get to the side street. I don't think they let you do that anymore. It is actually associated with the closed gas station that is in front of it. I think there's a bagel place that's in there, an Enterprise rental car. That property was also appealed, but because it was commercial and valued at over $1 million, appeal was denied on its face. The trick with this lot is it's really not good for anything other than being ancillary to it. It's been valued at $200,000 by the town for years and years. We just didn't understand the increase. The commercial property, especially like this, hasn't gone up in the last 5 years. We would think it would stay flat at 200,000. No one would buy it independently. It would either be sold to the owners of the Duchess, or it has to stay with 653 Post Road.
All right, that's it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, this, no, actually, ending this at 9:21 p.m. This is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 768, and the start time is 9:22 a.m. This is for 858 Oldfield Road. The owner is 858 Oldfield Road, Fairfield LLC. The town valued this property at $1,411,500. The appellants are asking that to be reduced to $1,250,000.
And I have an affidavit from Len Moscow, the sole member of 858 Oldfield Road, Fairfield LLC, that owns 858 Oldfield Road. I don't have an appraisal. This is a duplex, which makes it a little harder to value. But what I do have is two pretty spot-on comps, one that's high and one that's low, and I think that helps us kind of dial in on our value of $1.25 million. The first one is 190 Beaumont Street. I have a card for you. 190 Beaumont Street sold in December 2024 for $1.55 million. But it's substantially larger than my client's property at 5,336 square feet. And the lot is larger as well at 0.36 acres. And I think the extra 1,000 square feet and a little more land easily justifies the $300,000 extra over the value that we're looking for.
Okay.
The other property I have is 826 Oldfield Road, so right there.
826?
826 Oldfield Road, which sold in July 2024 for $805,000. Also a two-family, 2,931 square feet, so it is 1,400 square feet smaller than ours. Same size lot. But I think, comparing the range of these two properties, the town at 1.4 is too high. It should be more like 1.25.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 770, and the start time is 9:26. All right, this is for 389 South Pine Creek Road. The owner is 393 South Pine Creek Road, Fairfield LLC, care of David Purdy and Company. The town's valued this property at $1,366,400, and the appellant's asking that to be reduced to $900,000.
And I have an affidavit from Len Moscow, the sole member of 393 South Pine Creek Road, Fairfield LLC, that owns 389 South Pine Creek. And I'm also going to, do not have an appraisal. I do have several photographs of the unit and the interior that I'm going to share. I also have, this is a duplex, so there is, it has two sides in that instance. And I'm going to share a copy of an active lease for 389 South Pine Creek, which shows the rent currently at $3,000 a month. The rent has been raised slightly since then, as this tenant has been there for quite some time, but it is still less than $4,000 a month.
Do you know what the current rent is?
I believe it's $3,600 a month. I have, because this is a duplex, once again, I want to use 190 Beaumont Street as a comparable. I have a card for that. 190 Beaumont Street sold in December 2024 for $1.55 million. It is substantially larger than the subject property at 5,336 square feet as compared to this property's 4,034 square feet. It is only 2 minutes away from the subject property. Also want to share the card for, assuming I can find it, 826 Oldfield Road. Here it is. Which is also a duplex. It sold in July 2024 for $805,000. It is smaller than the subject property at 2,931 square feet. And then, just to discuss a little math, the townwide average cap rate on residential property is 5.44%. Assuming that my client could rent each side of this for $4,000 a month, that would be $8,000 a year or $96,000. Sorry, $8,000 a month or $96,000 a year in rent. Assuming that the expenses end up being 40% of the rent, which is fairly standard, the gross rent would be $57,600. If that were the case, at that cap rate, the value of the home would be $1,060,000. My client's current rents are less than that, thus why we're seeking a value of $900,000.
All right. Anything else? No? Okay. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 771, and the start time is 9:32. And this is for 379 South Pine Creek Road. The owner is Leonard Moscow, trustee. The town's valued this property at $1,378,300. The ask amount is $900,000. All right.
And I have an affidavit from Len Moscow, trustee, being a legal owner of the property located at 379 South Pine Creek, authorizing me to be here. And I cite in the same evidence that I presented in the argument for 389 South Pine Creek Road, which is Appeal 770.
All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 769, and the hearing start time is 9:34. Okay, this is for 403 South Pine Creek Road. The owner is 393 South Pine Creek Road, Fairfield LLC. The town's valued this property at $1,372,500, and they're asking that to be reduced to $900,000.
And I have an affidavit from Len Moscow, sole member of 393 South Pine Creek Road, Fairfield LLC, authorizing me to appear. I also have a lease for 403 South Pine Creek Road showing the rent at $3,000 a month. I believe it has currently been raised to $3,500, because this lease is from 2012. And I cite in my argument that I made for 389 South Pine Creek Road, which was Appeal 770.
so 772 is the next one?
772.
To 951 Tungus?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Okay, this is Peter Ruper for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 772, and the start time is 9:36. And this is for the property address 951 Tungus Hill Road. The owner of this is Roseville Commons, LLC. The town's value of this property is $868,700, and they're asking that to be reduced to $650,000.
And I have a authorization from Roseville Commons, signed by Len Moscow, the sole member, authorized, and the owner of 951 Tungus Hill Road, authorizing me to be here today. I also have this is a duplex. Now we're on Tungus Hill Road, but it's behind where TJ Maxx is. That is. It's actually a way I cut across town in the morning, and it is, their duplex is right there behind TJ Maxx. I also have a lease for 953 Tungus Hill Road, and it shows the rent being $2,650 a month. It is my understanding the rent has not been raised since then, even though this is a 2016 lease. I also have photos of the unit, so you can see the condition on the inside. And come on, I'm drowning in my own paperwork, but I'm going to get you some cups.
So I just want to ask a question,
Sure,
right?
please.
So are you saying that the lease, because you said this was for 953 Tungus, is the lease the same for the other?
And I have some other leases as well that I'll give you with those units.
Okay.
All right, now I've sorted through all this. Some comps. I have 300 Soundview Avenue. Here's a card for it. It sold in February 2024. It sold for $750,000. It is larger at 4,348 square feet, as opposed to this unit being 3,390 square feet. It's older, and it's a 3-family as opposed to a 2-family. But I do think the 3-family, certainly from a rental point of view, ups its value in that instance. I have 165 Haley, which is another 3-family. It sold in April 2025 for $750,000. It is 2,761 square feet, which is less than 600 square feet smaller than the 3,390 of this property. It's 4 minutes away. And then I have 96 Kenwood Avenue, which is a 2-family, and it sold in August 2025 for $771,000, and it's 2,600 square feet. I think all 3 of those are viable comps. But then again, looking at the math, if we assume that the average residential cap rate in town is 5.44%, and that if they can get $6,000 a year in rent from both sides, which he's currently getting less, that's set, sorry, $6,000 a month, that's $72,000 a year, with 40% going to expenses, that leaves a net rent of $43,200, which would bring the value in at $794, and he's getting less than that rent now.
Or anything else?
That's it.
All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 773. The start time is 9:42, and this is for 937 Tungus Hill Road. The owner, Roseville Commons LLC. The town valued this property $868,700, and they're asking that to be reduced to $650,000.
And I have an affidavit from Len Moscow, a sole member of Roseville Commons LLC, the legal owner of 937 Tungus Hill Road, authorizing me to be here. I also have a copy of the lease for 937 Tungus Hill Road, showing the rent at $3,000 per month. And otherwise, I cite in my argument for 951 Tungus Hill Road, LLC.
Okay. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 774, and the start time is 9:45. Okay, this is for 965 Tungus Hill Road. Roseville Commons is the owner, LLC. Roseville Commons LLC is the owner. The town's valued this property $868,700, and that is being asked to be reduced to $650,000. Okay.
I have a affidavit from Len Moscow, sole member of Roseville Commons LLC, and the legal owner of 965 Tungus Hill Road, authorizing me to be here. I also have a copy of a lease for 965 Tungus Hill Road that represents the rent is $2,650 per month, and I believe that is still the rent. Otherwise, I cite in my argument for 951 Tungus Hill Road.
All right, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 775, and the start time is 9:48. Okay, this is for the property address 1099 Pequot Avenue. The owner is Tranquil Tides Property Holdings, LLC. The town's valued this property at $13,184,649. They're asking that to be reduced to $6,800,000.
The simplest argument is in March 2025, my clients bought this property.
Do you have,
I'm sorry, yep, I'm jumping ahead. I have an affidavit from Mary Shells Lative, the sole member of Tranquil Tides Property Holdings, LLC, of the owner of 1099 Pequot Avenue, authorizing me to be here. My clients bought this property in March of 2025 for $6.8 million. The town has valued it nearly double that. I brought you the price history from Zillow so you could see that the home had been on the market for quite some time. It was originally put on the market for 2021. The price history I have shows since 2023, but that is incorrect. There were several price reductions. This house is not worth more than $6.8 million. It is a beautiful home. It is a maintenance disaster.
what does that mean?
It just needs it is it had a lot of deferred maintenance, and they're gonna need new roofs, and they're gonna need foundation work, and they're going to need all sorts of stuff to it. It's going to be gorgeous when it's all done. But there's no better comp than that's what they paid for it.
Okay.
The land on it seems particularly overvalued. If you look at, I'm going to give you 1169 Sasco Hill, which is the point of Sasco Hill. It is a big, gorgeous property that's sold in vacant land. The land at 1099 Pequot was valued at $800,000 more an acre than that land. I can't come up with a justification for why.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 776, and the start time is 9:53. Okay, this is for 181 Willow Street. The owner is Elizabeth Perkin. The town valued this property at $3,082,518, and we're asking that, or they are asking that amount to be reduced to $2,700,000.
And I have an affidavit from Elizabeth Perkin, the owner of 181 Willow Street, authorizing me to be here. And I have an appraisal by Paul Isolda, showing a value of $2.7 million. Paul did a good job finding comps. He's using 989 Pequot Avenue, which sold for $2.75 in March of 2025. 346 Tainter, which sold in September 2024 for $1.8. And 240 Harbor, which sold for $3.25 in April 2024.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 777, and the start time is 9:55. Okay, this is for, let me just go through this. Sorry. This is for 1179 Pequot Avenue, the owner Beach House LLC. The town valued this property at $15,135,235, and the ask amount is to be reduced to $14 million. Okay, all right.
And I have an affidavit from Bill Grabe, the sole member of Beach House LLC, which owns 1179 Pequot Avenue, authorizing me to be here. And I have an appraisal from Paul Isolda showing a value of $14 million. What I thought was fascinating about this appraisal and worth pointing out is Paul found the best comp is actually 107 Long Neck Point Road in Darien. And using even that comp actually brought him down to 13.8. It's impressive what a Fairfield house can match up against a Darien house like that. And he also used 1099 Pequot, which we appealed a little while ago. And even against that one, he only comes out at $10 million. And then 1093 Pequot, which is brand new construction right next to 1099, that one brought him up to a little over 14. I think it's a solid appraisal that proves out the value.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 778, and the start time is 9:57. Okay. The property address is 1227 Pequot Avenue. The owners of this property are William and Catherine Ulrich. The town valued this property at $12,600,758, and they're asking that to be reduced to $10 million.
And I have an affidavit from Will Ulrich, the owner of 1227 Pequot Avenue, authorizing me to be here. And we're going to revise our appeal value up to $10.75 million. $10,750,000.
Okay.
And I have an appraisal from Paul Isolde proving $10,750,000.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay. All right. This is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 779, and the start time is 9:59. All right. This is for 83 Mellons Road. The owners of this property are Hannah Haley Merriam. Is that Merriam Haley?
No, I think it's Hannah Haley Merriam.
Okay, all right. And then Joshua Goodman. The town's valued this property at $1,652,713, and they're asking it to be reduced to $1,500,000.
And I have an affidavit from Hannah Haley Merriam, the owner of 83 Maylands Road, authorizing me to be here. And I have an appraisal by Nicole Daly showing a value of $1.5 million. Nicole did an excellent job. Her primary comp is 101 Maylands Road, which is right next door. And that sold for $1.65 in July 2025. But it is a nicer home with a finished basement.
Okay. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 780, and the start time is 10:01. Okay. This is for the property address 1139 Sasco Hill Road. The owner of this is Sasco Point LLC. The town's valued this property at $6,103,805, and they're asking that to be reduced to $4 million.
We're going to revise that to $4.5 million. And I have an affidavit from William Taylor, the member of Sasco Point LLC, the sole owner of 1139 Sasco Hill Road, authorizing me to be here. And I have an appraisal from Paul Isolde showing a value of $4.5 million. I think the most clear thing is the clients bought this property in October 2023 for $3,075,000. The town has it as double that. It was on the market for 6 months at 4.5 when they offered $3,075,000.
And how much did you say?
$4.5 million. It is a rear lot. It's not. I'm actually shocked the appraisal came in at 4.5. I would have had it as lower.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Okay. This is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 781, and the start time is 10:04. Okay, this is for 1143 Sasco Hill Road. Owner is Sasco by the Sea, LLC. The town's valued this property at $10,168,897, and they're asking for that to be reduced to $9,375,000.
And I have an affidavit from William Taylor, member of Sasco by the Sea, LLC, the legal owner of the property 1143 Sasco Hill Road, authorizing me to be here. I do not have an appraisal, but I do have a drawing that I think is very important to this. So this lot back here, this is kind of what realtors put together to show what a property that was developed could look like. We're talking about 1143 Sasco, which is the original home that's right here. Mm-hmm. The only one of these homes that currently exists other than that is this one is mostly done right here.
And what do you know what that
it's 1169. Let's see. No, it's 1179.
1179.
We just did the property back here. This was the one that the town had 6, that they paid 3 for. Now we're talking about this one. My concern is the town has valued this as having an ocean view, which is about to get blocked, right? All of these lots have been sold. Each one of these owners has a plan to build a home on it. This is no longer going to be waterfront. It is going to be a back lot now. And so if you compare it to, well, I'm just taking out my comp.
You say this one right now is current?
That house is maybe 60%.
Okay.
But really, if you're this house, what matters is from here to here.
Sure, right.
Right?
Right,
And,
exactly, yeah.
and when these three are built, it's over.
Yeah.
And when they bought this, and they bought it in 2023 for $9,375,000, they knew they were getting a deal because their view was going to be blocked. I think the most important comparable sale is 640 Sasko Hill Road, and I'll give you the card on that. 640 Sasko Hill Road sold for $10,400,000 in April 2025. It is also a nearly 15,000 square foot home like this one. The difference is that 640 Sasko Hill Road has sweeping views over the golf course and the harbor and the ocean, and they're never going to be blocked. So that, you know, when you look at the town coming in at 10-1 for 1143 Sasko Hill, it really matches up with 640 nicely, but they didn't adjust for the fact that its views they'll be gone by the end of the summer.
All right, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals, Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 782, and the start time is 10:08. Okay, this is for 395 Villa Avenue. The owners of this property are Lisa and James Cinto. The town's valued this property at $470,900, and they're asking that to be reduced to $350,000.
And I have an affidavit from Lisa Cinto, the owner of 395 Villa Avenue, authorizing me to be here. I do not have an appraisal. This house is on Villa Avenue. If you're coming down Melville and you keep going, you end up in their driveway. So it's a driveway that literally jumps into the intersection of Melville and Villa. This house is 940 square feet. So nearly $500,000 seems awfully high for 940 square feet. It is a beautiful little home, but it is little in that instance. I have some excellent comps. I have 138 York Road, which I'll give you the card for. It sold in October 2025 for $233,000. It is 1,352 square feet, so 400 square feet larger than my client's. It's 3 minutes away. I have 173 Jennings Road, which sold in April 2025 for $370,000. It is 2,488 square feet, which is over 1,500 square feet. I mean, it's more than double my client's house size. It's almost triple my client's house size. It's 3 minutes away. I also have 54 2nd Street, which is about 90 seconds away, and it sold for $465,000 in January 2025. I assume this is what justifies the town's value, but it's 1,439 square feet. Once again, it is 500 square feet larger, or really more than 50% larger than my client's home. I just don't see how that house can be worth $470,000.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it. Ready to go.
Oops, actually. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 636, and the start time for this is 10:13. Okay, this is for the property address 219 Main Street. The owners of this property are Claudia and Andrew Wilbur. The town's valued this property at $1,597,853, and they're asking that to be reduced to $1,358,333.
And I have an affidavit from Andrew Wilbur, the legal owner of the property at 219 Main Street, authorizing me to be here. My clients purchased this property in April of 2024 for $1,361,000. The property had actually been put on the market in March of 2024 for $1 million. I'm going to give you a copy of that price listing. The reason my clients so overpaid was because it was a bidding war, and they were buying the property next door for their parents to live in. So they were more than willing to overpay for the convenience of it. They have obtained 3 appraisals, which I'm going to give you all 3 appraisals, and they have an analysis by which they arrive at their value of $1,358,000 by taking the 3 appraisals and averaging. The first appraisal is by Barbara Yurden and comes in at $1.5 million. The second is by Lee Helm that comes at $1.2 million. And the third is by Chris Ann Young that comes at $1.375 million. And averaging the 3 appraisals, they come in at $1,358,333.
What was Chris Ann's last name?
Chris Ann Young.
Okay. Anything else?
That is it.
Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is Appeal 637, and it's 10:17 start time. All right, this is for 227 Main Street. Wilbur and Andrew, Andrew and Claudia Wilbur are the owners. This town has valued this property at $2,750,000. I don't have an ask amount here.
The ask amount is $2,403,333.
Okay. All right.
And I have an affidavit from Andrew Wilbur, the owner of 227 Main Street, authorizing me to be here.
Okay.
And the appellants arrived at their value by obtaining 3 appraisals and then averaging them. The first appraisal is from Barbara Yurden for $2.4 million. The second appraisal is by Lee Helm for $2.25 million. And the final appraisal is by Chris Ann Young for $2.56 million. I'll give you all 3 appraisals, plus the client's analysis showing the averaging. Nothing further on that.
Okay. Okay, this is Peter Rupert for the Board of Assessment Appeals. This is Saturday, March 21st, 2026. This is appeal number 789, and the start time is 10:20. Okay, so this is for the property address 360 Mine Hill Road. The owner is Summit Mine Hill LLC. Town's valued this property at $4,676,400, and they're asking that to be reduced to $4 million.
And I have an affidavit from Felix Charney, the sole member of Summit Mine Hill LLC, the owner of 360 Mine Hill Road. Despite this being owned by an LLC, it is a private home. They operate a small farm on it. I do not have an appraisal. I have no issue with the value of the home, as the town has figured out. I believe that the town has overvalued the acreage. It's 8.11 acres, and the town has valued it at $316,000 an acre. I don't think $316,000 an acre is in itself high for Greenfield Hill, but I do think when it's part of 8 acres, it is too high.
I went out looking for a comp to prove my fact, and what I found is 680 Old Academy. There are very few sales of over 4 acres in Greenfield Hill. But Old Academy is 6.47 acres with a home on it, and it sold in April 2024 for $4.75 million. I'm going to give you the card on that. But the town is valuing that land at only $191,000 an acre. If we were to adjust the valuation of 360 Mine Hill land to match 680 Old Academy, and they're, a 2-minute car ride away from each other, that would be a $941,000 deduction, which is more than we're claiming. It's also interesting, another comp that came up is 220 Pansy Road. It's not Greenfield Hill, it's kind of the northern part of Fairfield. There's a transition to Greenfield Hill. That property sold for, that's 8 acres that sold for $700,000, but it sold to the town, which makes that, but that's less than $100,000 an acre. I think 680 Old Academy is a little more on point.
All right. Anything else?
That's all she wrote.
Okay. This is Peter Rupert. It's Saturday, March 21st, 2026, and the BAA hearing is ended.